Hello, and welcome to today's lesson. We're going to be talking about topics under the standard 1.3 in third grade, and also topics under the standard properties of multiplication in Study Island. So in this lesson, there's going to be two properties that we're going to look at. The first one is the identity property, and the second one is the commutative property, both of multiplication. And so we're going to be looking at questions where you have to identify which one the problem is, where you have to complete an example, and where you have to look at a model and complete the model. And so as we're going through these notes, if you could be taking notes and writing them down in your notebook, that would be great. This would give you something to look back on and study from later on when you're trying these problems on your own. And you can even pause the video and rewind if I go too fast. And you can pause the video at the beginning of the question too, problem on your own, and then watch the video to check yourself, so that way you can get a gauge of, do you need some more practice with these problems, or are you doing pretty well? So I'm so glad that you are joining us today, and let's go ahead and take some notes. There are two properties in this lesson that you need to know, and the first one is the identity property of multiplication, which basically says when you multiply by 1, that will not change the identity of the number, aka the number's value. So here, 8 times 1 is 8. 7 times 1 is 7. Multiplying by 1 doesn't change the value of the other number. And so you'll see examples with numbers, and you also see examples that are modeled with pictures. And so if you have one object and you multiply by 1, you're still going to have one object. So here they give us the problem 13 times 1 equals 13, and they ask which property is this? And if you look, they have commutative property of addition, identity property of addition, identity property of multiplication, commutative property of multiplication. Here's a heads up. If it has multiplication in the equation, you have to have multiplication in your answer. So right away I know A and B is up. And then I'm left with identity and commutative. This is the identity because it's times by 1. So it's the identity because you start with 13 and you end with 13. The identity doesn't change. So your final answer is C. This next question here asks, okay, what is 4 times 1? And 4 times 1 is just 4 because multiplying by 1 does not change the other number. The other number is your answer. So your final answer is C. Here's a question using the identity property, the times 1 tells me that, with a picture or a model. And so here, if this is a multiplication, the problem is modeled above, what's going to be the answer? So instead of telling you the number, they give you a number of objects. So if you count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, this group represents 10, the number. And so if you take 10 times 1, that's going to equal 10. So you're looking for 10 penguins in the groups below. So if you count them up, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in W, so it's not W. And then you counted X, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not 10, so it's not X. And then you count up Y, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's not 10, so it's not Y. And then we're hoping Z, we get 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is 10, and that's what we're looking for because we started with 10. So we need to end with 10 because it's multiplied by 1. So our final answer here is D. This is just another example doing the same thing. We have 1, 2, 3 pizzas multiplied by 1. So 3 times 1 is 3, so that just means we're looking for those same 3 pizzas in our answer. And the choice that has 3 pizzas is Z, so my final answer is A. The other property you need to know in this lesson is the commutative property of multiplication. So it says that the changing the order of the factors does not change the product, aka the order you multiply two numbers does not matter. So if you take 2 times 4, that's the same as 4 times 2. So here you have 2 rows of 4, and you count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this side is equal to 8. And here you have 4 rows of 2. that models 4 times 2, and if I count those up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that still gives us 8 as an answer. So the commutative property basically says that the order that you multiply doesn't matter. Which comes in handy when you are memorizing your facts, because once you have 2 times 4 memorized, you also have 4 times 2 memorized. This question here asks what property is shown below. So I have 5 times 4 equals 4 times 5. And so because there's multiplication in this example, then I had to have multiplication as part of my answer. So it can't be a property of addition. So that means I can cross these two choices out, and that leaves me with B or C. And so I need to know, is it the commutative property or the identity property? Well, I know the identity property has a times 1 in it every single time. There's no times 1 in it, so it can't be C. And then B is the commutative property. The commutative property means that I can just switch the order. So here I have 5 times 4, and then I have 4 times 5. So the order is just switched. So that's definitely the commutative property. So my answer is going to be B. So this question here, it says 4 times 8 equals what? And if we look at our answers, they're not looking for the answer of 32. They're looking for which other problem would get you the same answer as 4 times 8. And so here, we know that 4 times 8 is 32. And so you're looking for another choice that will get you 32. So 4 times 12 is 48. 8 times 4 is 32. So I want to look at that one. If I look at it, the commutative property tells me that I can take 4 first, then 8 second, or I can 8 first and 4 second. And so this is definitely showing the commutative property, so my final answer is going to be B. Here's another problem where it gives us 3 times 6, but it's not looking for the answer of that. It's looking for another problem that is the same as 3 times 6. So if I look at my choices here, and I know in this lesson I can use the commutative property, here I have 3 first, so that means using the commutative property I can have 3 seconds. Here I have 6 first in the problem, so using the commutative property I can have 6 first. And so I have the other problem that can equal the same as 3 times 6 is 6 times 3, and these both equal 18. And so the choice here that has 6 times 3 is choice D. Here's an example that models the commutative property. So once again, I just need to count up how many pencils I have to see what number these are modeling. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so that means that if I'm using the commutative property, I'm going to have 7 times 10. I'm just flipping the order. So I'm going to go through and count for the pencils that have 7 first and then 10. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pencils. So it can't be P because I need to have 7 first. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pencils. So it can't be Q because I need to have 7 first. And then R, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 here. And so I'm hoping that this second set has 10. So I go ahead and count those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It does have 10. So this is the choice R that shows the commutative property because it takes the 7 pencils that were second in the problem and puts them first in the answer, and it takes the 10 pencils that were first in the problem and puts them second in the answer. And so that means my final answer is going to be A. Here's another model that we use to show the commutative property. And so once again, I just need to count up the number of objects in the problem so that I can see what number they're representing. So I have 1, 2, 3 fishes in the first as my first model. And then in my second one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fishes. So that means in my answer, I'm looking for 6 fishes times 3 fishes, because the commutative property just flips the problem. So here I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to have 6 first, so it can't be P. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 first, but I only have 1, 2 second. I need to have 3 second, so it can't be Q. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 4 first. I need to have 6 first, so it can't be R. And then here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 first, and 1, 2, 3 second. So I have the 6 times the 3 here in S, so that means S is going to be my final answer, which is A. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you learned something new.